Hey everyone, Alicia Toot here.
I'm Mick Foley.
And you are watching AMBY. Hey everyone, it's Alicia and I'm super excited to be sitting here once again with the one and only Mick Foley.
Thank you, Alicia.
Hello.
Last one was just several months ago, right? Mm-hmm. By popular demand?
Absolutely.
What's amazing, I think, is that I am 6 months older, but my beard is somehow darker. I'm getting younger by the month.
Well, I was going to get into this a few questions in because you mentioned it tonight during the show, but tomorrow night you're going to be back, WWE Raw, and you were debating if you want to chop everything off or keep the Buddy the Elf hair going?
It's just gotten out of control. Like 2 nights ago, I think, I used some type of I'm not a big hair product guy, but I used something to tame the curls, and it worked for that night. And then, you sleep a couple nights, things happen, nature takes its course. And then last night in Fergus, there were like 4 different women on the line. They're like, can I play with your hair? And this is what happens. You sleep a couple nights, women play with your hair. And then I looked in the mirror, I was like, oh, dear God, this looks awful. And then I didn't realize we'd be doing this interview. I went out there tonight and said, I have a feeling you're not going to judge me how I look. But I might well get judged for how I look on your show, which would be seen by
I think it looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Buddy the Elf, or as we would like to call it in the Foley house, the Brennan Huff curly-headed F look. It's a bad word.
That we've been avoiding all night.
Yeah.
Which slid once.
I slid once.
But perfect timing.
But I go on the stage and I really don't know how I'm going to say it. I look for something to come up, and some nights something comes up, and then tonight it didn't happen organically. So I went with a story I'd only told a couple times over the years, and it still worked out pretty good.
And when you're telling these stories, of course, sometimes you are going to repeat certain stories.
Yeah.
So for you, are there any that the crowd right away just like grasps onto the most? I mean, you've told so many of them over night after night on this 20 Years of Hell tour.
Yeah.
I mean, what's one where fans are just like going wild?
Well, there's an example is the show that the WWE Universe and the entire wrestling universe, I hope, will see on the WWE Network has a certain type of build up to the Undertaker rivalry and why I was so concerned that I could never live up to not only what Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker had done in the first Cell match ever, but also just the history and the legacy that the Undertaker and I had. And then I found I actually can condense it and make it a little, I think, better by using a story stemming from the interview I had with Jim Ross. Mm-hmm. And then even if I'm having like a little bit, I'm having trouble getting into, the vibe, if I get into 97 Mankind character, it's like a jolt to the senses. Tonight was unique in that as I was right in the middle of that character, a baby started crying.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't script this stuff, and then I couldn't stop laughing, because you go.
You're actually like keeled over, just laughing
I was laughing
it was
so hard.
So good.
I got so deep into that character, and just about to deliver a line, here comes the baby crying. After I'd reprimanded a couple people who wouldn't stop talking, and that's unfortunate, but you have to do that. And so, had I not reprimanded them, then it wouldn't have been so funny that the baby interrupts me by crying at the big dramatic point of that story.
Yes.
But that's a story I really enjoy telling, and I think it brings it home in a better way than the one that will be on the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know, of course, and everybody in the crowd here tonight, everyone who's seen the Hell in the Cell match 20 years back, that you took so many brutal bumps in that match. And you were mentioning how it's like there was one, but you kept going, then another one happened, and then another one happened.
Watching the match, you completely forget that the Undertaker's up around 300 pounds, they say 320, but he's up around 300, 6'10", maybe a little over 300. And I'm on his back when he dropped backwards onto the tacks. And no one even remembers that I'm on the back of a 300-pound man. He dropped straight backward, and that was on the old WWE ring, which didn't have much give. So on any other night, that would have been the fantastic bump of the week, and it was not even an afterthought. You don't even realize that it took place.
And are you envious now that these new cells actually have little holes, the divots?
Wow. Yeah, I am. Yeah, they realize that with all the difficulty I had climbing that thing. And I did say, I did max out as an athlete in 6th grade gym class. And not only did I do 4 pull-ups, that was the only time I actually did pull-ups. In the 4th, 5th grade, I think I couldn't do it. I was the guy who couldn't do any pull-ups. And there's a story here, I think, of a story about perseverance. I couldn't do any sit-ups when I was in 4th grade. And I didn't know when they came down and pulled me into a gym class that I was in the special gym class.
Really?
For overweight students.
Okay.
So my mother would work with me every day after school to do sit-ups. And I literally could not do any. So 4th grade, 0 sit-ups. 0 sit-ups in 1 minute. 5th grade, 48 sit-ups in 1 minute. 6th grade, 56 sit-ups.
Yes, Mick.
In 1 minute. And to this day, although no one's likely to see the Foley abdomen, I think we let one sneak in Holy Foley, when I was losing weight. My son saw me, told me if I kept working, I could have a body as good as Bo Dallas's. So that was like, yes, if you keep working, you might look as good as the worst looking body in WWE. But I still have some of that good core strength from those days when my mom was helping me with my sit-ups.
I love that she was your trainer. That's awesome.
She was, yeah. Thank you, Mom.
When you see that infamous photograph and moment of the tooth in your nose,
yeah.
So you mentioned that you didn't know that had happened, otherwise you would have been really embarrassed. When you look back at the photo, what's the first thing that you think of?
I just hoping people don't think it's a white booger. When I saw it on the thing, it was like...
You don't want to Kurt Angle it?
And no, my God. Kurt wins the WWE title, and all people can remember is he had just a nasty nostril nugget.
Yeah.
You can't live that down.
It was a big one.
Yeah. I mean, in the... There's a famous documentary about The Last Waltz, and they digitally deleted every little speck of cocaine that was in Neil Young's nose. I believe WWE tried to do that with Kurt Angle, and there was just too much booger. Too much.
Well, recently I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Noel during All In Weekend. It was awesome. We finally got that photo together. We finally got to talk about our love of sweets, cookies, and ice cream. I love that you quote retweeted it saying, yes, we all need to get ice cream.
And then I was like, this is a meeting that had to happen. She reminded me a lot of, you remind me a lot of my daughter.
Thank you.
You're like a Canadian dark brunette, Noel. To me.
Yeah, she was absolutely lovely. Frank was there. We actually did an interview together backstage.
It was going well until you talked about Frank. No, actually.
He was in the interview. He was very sweet.
Frank's a good guy.
He was
and
very
I understand
sweet.
He did pretty well in the...
yeah, he had that
match.
The match.
I talked to Frank a day or two before that about some psychology, and I haven't seen the match, but I heard he did pretty well.
Yeah. That's awesome. I know that also Noelle was sitting on the sidelines for that. She mentioned she was excited about it. So, yeah. Well, since we're talking about sweets, I was wondering for you, when you
By the way, if I could just say, with All In, I'm just really proud, not just proud in a condescending way, but I think it's really important what they did. And if I hadn't been in Saskatoon, I would have loved to have been part of that. And I was actually asked to be part of it, but I was up here doing my tour. But I think it's great what they did. It's really great, not only for Cody on a personal level, for Bucks and Kenny and all those guys, Marty, but for the business as well.
Yeah, it was absolutely surreal being backstage because you had all these people that could be future legends, all these amazing up-and-comer indie guys, and then you actually had real legends, like WWE Hall of Famers backstage, and you're just sitting there your mind's blown. It was incredible.
Quite a bit, right? You've been on quite a journey.
Oh, thank you.
But let's ask about these sweets.
Oh, yeah, I was going to get into that. I mean, when you do have those munchies once in a while, what are some of those go-tos? Because Noel and I covered the cookies, we covered the ice cream, but which ones do you go to?
My favorite dessert, and I only get it for my birthday, I'll actually have it shipped in, like I'm a big shot, from Pennsylvania Dutch country. I will get a shoe fly pie delivered to my house.
Which kind of pie?
A shoe fly pie. It's Pennsylvania Dutch, I think, because it lasts so long. It can last out for several days, a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Essentially a molasses custard pie, loaded with simple carbohydrates. But once or twice a year, I love it. And you put maple syrup, real maple syrup. I was actually, where was I? I was out there in Winnipeg or something like that, and we was in Ontario.
Okay.
Because we've got the RV, and I try to have some apple cider vinegar.
It's such a cool looking
Isn't
RV
that cool, right?
too.
I was like Eddie, cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation wants his RV back. It's old school. And I take apple cider vinegar with some water and some syrup every day. It's good for your body for various reasons. Mm-hmm. And so when I was in there in the supermarket, a woman comes along and she grabs the fake corn syrup stuff, and I was like, "What kind of Canadian are you?" It was real. I was very disillusioned by someone who would opt for the fake stuff. Because maple syrup to me has always been kind of symbolic, it's like a microcosm.
Canadians take it very seriously.
It's all right, music. Right, they don't understand real music because they've had such pre-digested, yucky music for so long, they don't know the difference. Same thing with maple syrup. Oh, you don't like maple syrup? That's because you've had this yucky stuff forced on you. You don't know the real thing.
You don't know maple syrup.
That's right. That's right. It goes for wrestling as well. You don't know real wrestlers because you've been force-fed this vision of what a wrestler should be.
Yeah.
I believe I used the maple syrup analogy on Mr. McMahon. No, I never.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, please go on. Please share.
How much fun is it when people realize they can actually do Mr. McMahon's voice?
Yeah.
And they start doing it, and it's like this. It's a good Mr. McMahon. And I'm not traditionally a voice guy like Bruce Pritchard's a magnificent voice guy, but I've got 5 or 6 that are pretty good.
Okay, who else is up there for you?
I do Terry Funk.
That was so good. You like had his laugh down. It was perfect.
And I got to give Ryan Denny, who booked this tour, credit because he was like, you know where that laugh might work again, and the real dramatic part of the story. He said, give it a try. And I did it in Fergus, and it was like this wave of laughter. I was like, man, you nailed it. So it is my show, but I'm open to suggestions. I'm always open to feedback. So I do Terry, I do Mr. McMahon, I do a good Rocky Balboa. And I throw good Macho Man, My American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, you did that one as well. That was
and not only is it pretty good, but it makes me feel good to do it, you know. And this is I give you just a little bit of that where I told Dusty that I wanted to do a headbutt through a wooden crate, and Dusty said, I don't think you can. I said, no, a dream. If I get 3, I just messed up the words there. But the phraseology is just is a stress on syllables and consonants, and I said, if I get a 3-step head start, and I get some height, I'm pretty sure that I can do that. Now, he's the head of talent relations, so he wants to make it clear that he doesn't think I should. So he goes, for the record, I don't think that you can, but I'd like to see you try.
I feel like they have to catch you on the tour to hear the rest of the story, though. Because you told it tonight, and it's it's a really good story.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, of course. Well, as we were discussing before, one of your children have a name that was inspired by Christmas, Noel. So were there any other Christmas-inspired names that were thrown around there between you guys, and you just didn't stick? Any ones that were almost, maybe even a little ridiculous?
Yeah.
Yeah, what were they?
Well, Holly, right?
That's nice, though.
It's nice, but the full name would have been Holly Jolly Christmas Foley, right? So 2 nicknames, Jolly Christmas. Hello, I'm Holly.
Can you imagine having to introduce yourself each time like that?
Hi, Holly Jolly Christmas Foley. Yeah, my wife shot down just about everything I had.
Ended up being a lovely name, though.
Yeah, it would have been a very nice. So someone else out there could steal it. If I meet a Holly Jolly Christmas, they'll know where they got that from.
Well, it's been a super crazy night for you, so I think we can just wrap things up, bringing it all back to the fans.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say? Because every single time I see you, so much has changed, so many new things are happening.
Yeah, I would like to say this. Thank you. I really, and I mean this sincerely. Like, look at me. Look at my hair. I'm wearing pajamas, right? My fanny pack's over there, and I get to make a living like this because the people out there they haven't just supported me on one occasion, but on many occasions. Like, we're ending up the tour in South Florida with a 100% fundraiser for the Humane Society, and tickets were a little slow. You know, it's like, I can't get it. Like, we sold 125 VIPs in Newfoundland in 27 minutes, right?
Wow.
I was like, there's 8 million people in South Florida, and I knew like my ad was getting clicks, and then a friend of mine was like messaging people who'd been interested, and she goes, I think everyone in South Florida has met you. Like, they're all showing photos with you. And so I'm not just counting on people who want to meet me in order to allow me to look like this at 53. I'm counting on wanting to meet me a couple times. Again and again. And so really, there was this time, like in 2005, 2006, you know, where the word relevant kept coming up. You're not relevant, you're not relevant. And then like 2009 or so, all of a sudden now I see people are dressing up as me for Halloween. And then there's been this nice wave where you're no longer washed up, you're part of people's childhoods, you know, and with the WWE Network, people have done a nice job of passing that down, and when I get a little more emotional about the cell in a way that I didn't tonight when I'm finishing up, you know, I realize that, you know, by and large, I'm still getting asked about that match, but I'm getting asked by an audience that's younger and younger, which means that people are making a choice to pass that match down. Sometimes it's among their peers in school, but oftentimes it's their parents. And I'm seeing families showing up at my appearances to the point where like 50% of the people I meet at a signing, not at a show, weren't even born when I was actively wrestling. And so I really want to say thank you to everyone who thinks enough of me to invest their time and money in coming to one of my appearances.
I love how you really just give it your all whenever you do your performances, and you're just so incredibly humble. And it was like honestly an absolute honor being a part of it tonight. So just congrats and thank you so much.
You know what? I do. I bring the A game every night. You know, there were 23 people in Rosemont because no one knew I had a show. And Kane was my special guest, and we opened up the door, and there's like 23 people in a 500-seat theater, and it's bright light. It's like daylight out there, a high ceiling, everything you don't want. And I went out there and I went, okay, you think I'm going to feel pretty stupid on the stage? I said, I'm bringing my A game, you know? And then when people are like, I can't believe he's putting this much into a show with these few people. And that's, I think, where being an ambassador for Santa comes in handy, because after a Christmas Eve visit with my elf, Huey, I got this beautiful text message from a family, and I said to Huey, I said, wow, I feel like I just had a pay-per-view match. And he goes, but Dad, there were 3 people there. I said, it doesn't matter. It's about like creating something and creating a memory, whether it's for 3 or 3,000.
Yeah. Well, I want to say congratulations on 20 years of hell.
20 years.
20 years of hell.
Can you believe it? Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you so much.
I predicted this is like the Becky Lynch thing. 15 months ago, I'm like, I had the thing. I'm like, the best. Foley predicts the best is yet to come for Becky Lynch. And it was like a year ago. When was I saying, oh, this is Alicia, she's gonna do really well. So I watch you as you're taking off. People are really. It's nice that a larger and larger audience gets to see you every day, and I just say I'm proud to be part of your trajectory.
Thank you so much. I owe a lot to you.
Don't forget
honestly.
me when you're.
Oh, come on.
Down here, right? All right. Thanks,
Thank
Alicia.
you so much,
Okay,
and to everyone, we will see you next time. Bye.